It's no surprise that the 600cc class is on a downward spiral, with the GSX-R 600 being last updated in 2011 and Yamaha just completely abandoning their R6 entirely. We are left with only two manufacturers that seem to even care, and that is Kawasaki with their Ninja ZX6R and Honda with their CBR600RR. Well, today I'm going to be giving a close look at both of these bikes and deciding which one is the current king of the 600 class. I will be comparing these two bikes in 5 different categories, which are performance, practicality, aesthetics, features, and value. So let's get started with performance. Honda claims their CBR with its 599cc engine makes 119 horsepower at 14,500 RPM, whereas Kawasaki says their 636cc engine produces 122 horsepower at 13,000 RPM. Now let's look at also the torque figures. Honda claims that their CBR produces 46.5 pound-feet of torque at 11,500 RPM, and the Ninja will make 51 pound-feet of torque at 11,800 RPM. So Kawasaki clearly wins the horsepower battle thanks to its extras 37 cc's of displacement. However, power numbers are not the whole story. There's other important factors such as weight. The CBR hits the scales at a weight of 425.5 pounds versus the Ninja, which weighs in at 432 pounds for non-ABS and 436 pounds for ABS. Because ABS is standard on the Honda, we will be taking the ABS numbers from the Ninja, which puts a 10.5 pound advantage for the Honda. This means that the Ninja has a power to weight ratio of 3.573 pounds per horsepower, and the CBR has a 3.575 pounds per horsepower ratio, which surprisingly is pretty much a tie between these bikes, with the ever so slight nod to the Ninja. But man, when you go back 3 decimal points, I think it's safe to say that they are about even. However, it's important to note 2 things here. First, that extra 5 pound of torque that the Ninja has will be pretty noticeable while riding it. Although we don't have the total dyno figures out on these bikes yet, I can almost guarantee the Ninja will make more power all throughout the rev range, even in stock form. And that leads to my next point, and that is if you are going to modify both of these bikes with an exhaust and a tune, you will see that the Ninja most likely will make a lot more power than the CBR. Either way, with all that said, I will give the nod to the Ninja. It's a faster bike with a more powerful engine. Now moving on to aesthetics. When it comes to the Ninja, we see it continues to feature a large front air intake above the headlights, similar to previous models. On the side, there are the integrated flush-mounted turn signals and a traditional side-mounted exhaust. The tail section has more of a traditional conservative look to it. From the front, I like how the headlights create an X look, which is rather unique on an otherwise reserved design. The 2 base colors offered are pearl white and metallic black. Kawasaki also offers a KRT edition for no additional cost, which features their more classic lime green color scheme. I like this color a lot as it helps spice up the side profile a bit more with the graphics. There's also a 40th anniversary edition model available that comes in this lime green and white and blue colorway. I think it looks cool, but I would admit my favorite of all the colors is between the black and KRT editions. As for the CBR, we see Honda take a completely different approach from Kawasaki. Rather than staying reserved and classic, Honda decided to spice it up with their design scheme. And starting with the elephant in the room, the CBR actually features airplane-looking winglets, which is the first on any 600cc bike. Keeping with the side profile, Honda keeps a lot of design cues from its previous generation, with one of the most notable changes being the couple of cuts on the bottom fairing. Honda also has their trademarked 12-spoke wheels and undertail exhaust, which is the only one of the class. The tail has 2 vents on it, which leads to more aggressive characteristics that this CBR seems to strive for. The tank also appears to have their classic plastic design, which covers the real tank and features the Honda decal badge on the side. Moving to the front, we see the squinted LED headlights and the central air intake. The turn signals are small stalks poking up slightly above the headlights, which is unique to this model. Offered in only 2 colorways, which are Grand Prix Red and Matte Ballistic Black Metallic. Some things I really like about the Honda design is that, of course, keeping the undertail exhaust was a pleasant surprise, along with keeping the fuel tank shape and tank badges is a nice touch. I'm also a big fan of the winglets, and I know I'm not alone on that one. The headlights are not my favorite, but they are a big improvement over the previous generation. Although I still don't really like the turn signals, I think they look a little awkward up there by the headlights. I wish Honda integrated them into the mirrors like they did with their 1000RR. I personally favor the looks of the Honda more. I believe Honda did a great job at being aggressive while still maintaining a classy design. I think they did a good job integrating the winglets, and keeping the undertail exhaust earns Honda some easy points in my book. But looks are subjective, and I understand other people have different opinions, so I did offer a poll on my channel asking which one you guys think looks better, and I was surprised that with over 1,200 votes, 70% of you said that you preferred the looks of the Honda. I felt Honda was the better looking bike, but I did not think it would win by such a massive amount over the Kawasaki here. Next up is features, and both these bikes are loaded with features. Let's start with the Ninja. The Ninja has 3 preset riding modes, which are Sport, Road, and Rain. However, you also have the ability to customize your modes by changing the selectable traction control and power levels. The traction control system has 3 levels of adjustability, and the power modes have 2 levels of adjustability, which are full and low. The Ninja also has a slipper clutch and an upshift-only quick shifter. As mentioned earlier, it offers optional ABS, and the Ninja is outfitted with a full LED lights all around, and of course we have to mention the 4.7-inch full-color TFT display that is built into the dash. This TFT display has a gear indicator in the top corner, a digital speedometer, and a wraparound tachometer on the top. You also have a trip meter, temperature display, clock, and fuel consumption meter, along with an actual fuel gauge. You can also connect to your TFT display with your phone via Bluetooth using the Rideology app. Now moving on to the CBR. Just like the Ninja, the CBR has full LED lights all around and a slipper clutch. The CBR also has its own traction control system, however this one is much more advanced than the Ninja. The CBR's traction control system has 9 levels of adjustability, along with 5 different power levels, along with a customizable engine braking management system and an electronic steering damper. But most importantly, the CBR uses a 6-axis IMU electronics package inherited from its larger CBR 1000RR counterpart. This allows the CBR to have access to other features such as cornering ABS and a more advanced and accurate traction control system. Also, the CBR has a standard quick shifter for both up and down shifts. And of course, the CBR has its own 4.3-inch full-color TFT display, which is similar to the Ninjas, where you have a digital speedometer, wraparound tachometer, digital clock, temperature meter, and so on. Although I will point out that the CBR is missing one thing that the Ninja has, and that is a fuel gauge, which don't get me started because I could rant about this for hours, but just so you know that the Ninja has it and the Honda doesn't. Overall, the Honda is just jam-packed with features and is much more advanced than the Ninja, which is also rather well equipped, but it simply cannot hold a candle to what Honda is bringing to the table. Now let's look at practicality. I know these are super sport bikes built for the track, but a lot of us will be riding these bikes primarily on the streets, so let's just take a dive into which bike is more practical. Let's start with the CBR this time. The CBR has a lot of practical street features. For instance, the adjustable traction control system and cornering ABS will be helpful on the street, not just on the track, and will keep you safer. Along with that, I know the CBR has an emergency tail light that will flash under hard braking to help alert a driver behind you to hopefully avoid getting rear-ended. The undertail exhaust is also safer with a lower chance of burning yourself on it, however, it comes at the expense of some trunk space. As for the Ninja, the biggest advantage is the fuel gauge. A fuel gauge is such a nice feature to have. The older Hondas had it, so I don't really understand why the new one doesn't, but regardless, the Ninja does, and it's actually a really nice feature. Both bikes get similar fuel economy and have similar sized fuel tanks, the Honda having a very slight nod in that category, but both get around 200-mile range. The Ninja also has a bit more low-end power and torque, which can be nice for passing situations on the highway. However, the CBR has plenty of power and actually weighs less, which can be very useful when parking or moving the bike around the garage. The CBR also has a lower seat height at 32.3 inches versus the Ninja's 32.7 inches. However, the biggest difference is that Honda actually offers an optional comfort package, which will add an expandable tail bag, heated grips, and USB-C charging. Given everything we have just mentioned, I think I have to give the nod to Honda overall for being a little bit better of a street bike, but it's really close between these two. If Honda had a fuel gauge, then that would be a total slam dunk in their favor. I don't know why they don't add one. Honda, for the love of God, please stop being dumb and add back the fuel gauge. And finally, let's move on to value. This category is a bit incomplete because the actual MSRP of the CBR600RR hasn't been released yet. Now in Japan, the CBR600RR is announced to cost 1.7 million yen, which is about $11,600 US. Now I know that is probably unlikely to be true. I think it's going to be more because if you take the cost of the ZX6R in Japan, it is listed at 1.5 million yen, which is equivalent to $10,600 US. If we assume it's ABS, then that's off by $2,000. So let's add about $2,000 to the CBR600RR's price, and I'll predict it will go for sale for around that $13,500, give or take a few dollars. Again, this is not official and a total guess, so please don't hold me to those numbers. Comparatively, the Ninja is coming in at an MSRP of $11,399 for non-ABS and $12,399 for ABS. I think if the CBR drops for $13,500, then that would be a fair price considering all the extra stuff you are getting in terms of technology. I believe at that price, the CBR is actually a great value. However, at $12,399, that's not a bad price for the Kawasaki either, and given how it makes more power, that is a very tempting option. I actually will give Honda and Kawasaki a tie in this category. However, I will say this, if the CBR ends up being more expensive, let's say $14,000 or more, then I'd have to give the value award to the Ninja, and if it ends up being cheaper, say $13,000 or even less, then Honda will win this category. So right now it's a tie, but if Honda charges more than $13,500, it's a win for Kawasaki, and if they charge less than $13,500, then it's a win for Honda. So it's your move, Honda. What will you set the MSRP to? So with all that said, we can see the Ninja won the performance category thanks to its stronger 636cc engine. However, the CBR and its winglets answer back in a big win in the aesthetics category. The CBR also dominates in the features category thanks to its advanced 6-axis IMU system. Then for practicality, we saw the Ninja brought a fuel gauge to the table, but the CBR still wins thanks to its optional comfort package. And finally, the value was a bit of an incomplete /tie. So given all of that, I believe the CBR is the clear winner of this contest. We all know power is important, and to some it's everything, but not to me. I believe technology and advancements matter just as much as power, and the technology the CBR has to offer is on a whole different level from the Ninja. Both bikes have advanced traction control systems, that is true, but the Ninja uses wheel sensors to calculate traction, whereas the CBR actually uses a 6-axis IMU system. The CBR has so many fine levels of adjustability for power, traction, even engine braking, along with standard up and down quick shifter and an actual cornering ABS. The Ninja still doesn't have an electronic steering damper either, which is something that Honda offers as standard. The Honda also looks better and just has much more to offer in my opinion. Now it is true if you tune and modify these bikes, the Ninja will make a lot more power, but in stock form, they have the same power to weight ratio. The only real advantage I can see with the Ninja outside of having a larger displacement is that it has a fuel gauge. So with all that said, I'm crowning Honda's CBR600RR the champion of the 600 class. But I will say this about the Ninja, it is still a fantastic bike, and given the price differences, I can absolutely understand why someone would pick the Kawasaki over the Honda, especially if you don't care about things like a quick shifter or technology. Anyway, that is the end of this video. I'm curious what you guys think of these two bikes, so leave a comment down below about which one is your favorite. Thanks for watching everyone, stay safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, and bye-bye.
Fantasies, and we looked at them 11 ways. You said, look